Dana Bash had Jim Jordan on her show on CNN and really drilled into him, showing still the double standard that MAGA is living in and their inability to ever answer for their own side's actions. So I wanted to look this over, starting with this clip.
Trump has repeatedly threatened to prosecute Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, Liz Cheney, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, General Mark Milley, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, New York AG Letitia James, and that's just some of the people he has talked about. Do you support him using the Justice Department to go after the people who disagree?
He didn't do it his first term. What I support is stopping.
Right, but this is a second term.
What I support is stopping this lawfare, stopping this political targeting, political cases. We all know the Fonnie Willis case, the Alvin Bragg case, and the Jack Smith cases were all driven by politics. The American people understood it. That's why they had this overwhelming win. One of the reasons this overwhelming win for President Trump. So I'm against the retribution. I'm against the Justice Department saying if you're a mom and dad showing up at a school board meeting, we're going to investigate you.
Okay, multiple things here to address, but it's funny though how he can't condemn anything that Trump has done. He just wants to point fingers. This is always what MAGA does. They get caught stealing and they try to tell on Big Bro for what they stole. And also he's lying, right? Like for instance, Trump's DOJ opened 3 investigations into Hillary directly on Trump's accord, who prompted them to go ahead and prosecute her. They just couldn't find anything to do so. So he absolutely went after his political opponents. He wanted to go after Comey as well. And MAGA cheered this on. Like they were chanting lock her up with him. They wanted him to do all of this. But now it's some mortal sin because they want to paint it as the Democrats are doing it to Trump, despite the fact that the Democrats aren't actually doing it. That might be the most hilarious part of it all. Like the funniest part is that we have this clear proof that Trump actually did this from the Sessions letter. Like we know that he did this. And MAGA will still deny it. They're like, no, it's not true. Yet they'll connect every straw, grasp at any little thing they can to make some conspiracy about how Biden is directing the DOJ to target Trump, despite there being no actual evidence. It's, oh, but this guy who was a temporary Biden appointment then went to work here and blah, 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 which is somehow enough proof. But the actual proof of Trump is just fake news.
Mass deportations of undocumented immigrants will begin as soon as Donald Trump takes office. I want to play this out for the American people so that they understand what exactly is going to happen. First of all, he takes office. Who's targeted first?
Well, he's already said that. People who have migrants here who committed crimes, criminal.
How are you going to find them?
The ones who committed crimes, you go after them. We've had.
But I mean, like who actually?
Whose daughter was killed. We've had Rachel Morin's family who came in and talked.
How are they going to be found? Or is it going to be the military? Is it going to be local law enforcement?
1.3 million migrants have already had their asylum case adjudicated, been in front of a judge, and the judge says you do not qualify under the law. We're the party of the rule of law.
Exactly. He can't answer this question because the answer isn't something people are going to digest easily. It's very Gestapo-esque. The military, ICE, whoever is going to be walking the streets, card checking random people just because they're brown, just because they're Hispanic, beating on doors. It's going to lead to mass discrimination against brown people, Hispanic people. It will be utter chaos, right? Neighbors getting paranoid and reporting their neighbors, having ICE barge into their houses just to find out that they're legal citizens or legal immigrants, incitement towards these kinds of Hispanic communities. So you can't answer this. You're not going to answer this before you do it because then people will understand what they signed up for. And here's the dirty little secret that they won't tell you. Most of these people are from the asylum system. They're waiting to hear their case, right? Their case, their visa expired for like work reasons. They're victims of our system rather than people maliciously flooding over our border and then like trying to disappear into the system. And Trump is going to go after them as well as people brought here as children, right? And possibly even legal immigrants.
In the run up to the election, even on election night itself, Donald Trump baselessly accused Democrats of cheating. As soon as the results started to come in and showed them going his way, he stopped. Silence. Nothing about that. I haven't seen you or your colleagues claiming any election irregularities, no rampant voting fraud this time. It seems to me that Republicans claim voting fraud and election integrity when you lose and not when you win.
No, I mean, again, as I said before, this election, I think, was the greatest political comeback we've ever seen. I mean, he did something that even Teddy Roosevelt couldn't do, for goodness sake. And the country.
But you think it
just
was a
interviewed-
free and
you just
fair
in-
election?
No, this election. You just interviewed the Latino. I think.
Look at how unable to answer this question it is. It's embarrassing. It's hilarious to watch him like fold in the moment because he can't just say the obvious right answer. They don't even get to actually gloat in their win because they were just saying that elections were rigged and fraudulent and we can't trust the outcome of elections. So why wouldn't this one be, right? Why wouldn't we have the same outrage about this election? Why wouldn't we be questioning the outcome now? If elections could be rigged, couldn't they have just rigged this one to win? Shouldn't we be equally suspicious as American people since, we're patriots and that's why we do all this? And it's totally not just on partisan lines because we couldn't accept our party wins. If only Democrats rig elections, then like why didn't they rig this one to win? Did they forget? Like there is no answer here because what you have to do is to be like, okay, 2020 wasn't rigged. We just lost. And none of them can do that. They can't admit it or they're out of the party. They would rightfully look like absolute clowns, which I mean, they do anyway. But then they would at least be admitting that they look like clowns because there's no world where Democrats can rig elections, did so in the past, specifically did so because it's a conspiracy where they don't want Trump in office, just to then let him win office 4 years later and also let him win majorities in the House and the Senate. And when they did rig it, they managed to not rig enough seats in the Senate to pass the bills they really wanted. So it's like they do election fraud, but they're just the worst election fraudsters of all time. I mean, this is so utterly unbelievable, entirely stupid, completely ignorant, whatever adjectives you want to add, right? I hope that if any light can come from this Trump victory, it's that a large portion of MAGA might then go on to refuse to humiliate themselves to the point that they're still trying to pretend that 2020 could have been rigged and instead will just choose to gloat about their 2024 win. Because again, if elections can be rigged, we should be suspicious about the outcome of this one, right? That's only like logically consistent, right? Despite, again, in 2020, all evidence showing it wasn't rigged. And now they've just won 4 years later. Are we still going to say it's rigged? Like, really?